Good evening, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and this is your Chain Reaction Report. You know, we're going to talk about a few things here. One is where we are right now in our history. I'm sure none of you have spent any time looking at the goings-on and the shenanigans in this country to the degree that Dave and I and Sarah look at stuff. That requires a major commitment in digging up information and verifying information that other people say and whatnot. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to be talking more and more about the fascist state that is being created here by the Republican Party. And I'm going to touch on just a few things tonight because I'm really exhausted and I want to take a shower and I want to sit down and I want to relax a little bit. But I really do feel compelled to talk about several things. Number one, we have spoken about this before. We spoke about the insurrection again on Sunday night on the stream. I've already done a video, 3-hour video, prior to that on the insurrection. At this point, there is actually nobody out there in this country who can legitimately say that what occurred on January 6, 2021 is irrelevant because it's over a year old. No one can say that it wasn't planned. The question is just who exactly was involved in the planning and how deep did that go? And that's still to be answered by the January 6th committee. We went over that all Sunday night as well. And no one can say that this was just a bunch of peaceful patriots who got caught up in the emotion of the day. No. None of that is true. None of the facts of this case bear that out. There is tons of information out there. And Sarah has been keeping a running tally of all of this. She just dumped it into one of our Telegram accounts. We have tons of detail beyond what I've already presented to you. And we will have more, because the January 6th committee has vowed to go public with public hearings so that everyone sees, as Liz Cheney said, every single event of that day in living color. The in living color part were her words. So the thing that strikes me about the Republicans is their commitment to the Constitution, their belief in the Constitution as a guiding light for the party. Well, I'd like to read to you the 14th Amendment, Section 3 of the Constitution. Okay? Okay. Now, understand that this is written in very verbose language because of the date it was written. But I want you to put on your listening ears, okay? Because even if it was written in a past time and is a little bit wordy, there is no denying that you can understand what's being said here. So let me read this to you. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Congress may be a vote, sorry, let me read that part again. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Now, it is amazing to me that Donald Trump can even be talking about running for president again. It's amazing to me that the 147 legislators who voted to overturn a legitimate election, it is amazing to me that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Madison Cawthorn, or any of the other people, Josh Hawley, Mo Brooks, are even serving in our government at this point. They are insurrectionists. They are the Sedition Caucus. That is what they are being called, the Sedition Caucus. And by the way, today, the head of the founder of the Proud Boys, Stuart Rhodes, was arrested and charged with sedition conspiracy. This needs to be taken all the way to the bitter end. And it needs to be exposed, it needs to be analyzed, and it needs to be explained and shown to the American people. Now, do I think that anybody in this legislature is going to hold any of these people accountable by removing them from their positions? No, I don't. I don't. And I don't think, even if the Democrats were thinking about it, that they have enough of a majority to pull that off. In fact, I know they don't. And that's exactly why the system as it stands doesn't work. The problem is that you have to really mean what you say when you say you respect the Constitution, you respect the laws of the land. Because in essence, what we have had from the beginning of this investigation is a Republican Party that has refused to cooperate. Right now, Kevin McCarthy is refusing to cooperate. You have a party that is refusing to cooperate. And, you know, by the way, for all of the complaints you hear about Facebook and, you know, Twitter, Reddit, from the Republicans about how they oppress free speech. The fact of the matter is, right now, big tech and social media is refusing also to cooperate with the January 6th committee. So I really don't think the Republicans have a whole lot to complain about. But what we have had here from the beginning, you know, we've always had these problems in the United States. We've always had the Christian nationalists, the white Christian nationalists. They're the ones partially driving all of this. We've always had all of these oath keepers. They've been around for a while. They're not new, okay? The Proud Boys, the Boogaloo Boys, the 3%ers. That's a new one that's being investigated right now. They are provided security for Michael Flynn. And by the way, just let me say this. The fact that Michael Flynn could ever have held the head of the national security of this country, the fact that he could ever have been the national security advisor is just stunning to me. He is the man who openly called for a Myanmar-style coup to happen in the United States over this election. Certainly people like Madison Cawthorn and the rest of them have given aid and comfort to the enemy, and that enemy is the Orange Jackaloon. The Orange Jackaloon spent 183 minutes allowing the Capitol to be literally razed by right-wing seditionists and white supremacists before he even mentioned the words peaceful. He waited until it was all over to do his talking because he wanted this to happen. There is absolutely no question that he worked these people up into a frenzy for months before the election and continued on with it after the election, including on January 6th, when he made a speech that literally told his people to fight like hell. Okay? I don't want to hear anymore. Stop fucking arguing the facts. Some people do get it. In North Carolina, there is a group of voters who are filing legislation, trying to file legislation or grievances against Madison Cawthorn, saying that he should not be allowed to run for re-election because he took part in January 6th. There are some people who understand what is going on here. We are headed down the road to fascism, all the way. We have a GOP in power now that has vowed that they may very well impeach Joe Biden if they win the majority back in 2022. What are you going to impeach Joe Biden for? What has Joe Biden done that deserves impeachment? Absolutely fucking nothing. Donald Trump is the only sitting president to have impeachment charges launched against him twice. And the only reason he was not removed the second time for what he did on January 6th is because the Republicans were in power. End of story. Joe Biden hasn't done anything to warrant impeachment. What this is all about and what the overriding message is here is payback. And this is not the way any legitimate government is run. The fact that you could reinstall seditionists, fascists into our government so that they can then turn around and get back at the Democrats by removing them from committees and impeaching the president, all because the orange jackaloon has a burr up his ample fucking ass over having lost an election. I dare you to tell me that that's the way it should be. You know, I'm a little sick of all of you, frankly. I'm sick of people who just float around on social media doing the lovey-huggy shit all day long like nothing's going on here. It's just a walk in the fucking park, okay? I'm tired of the people who don't care enough to read. I'm tired of people who don't care enough to participate. We've been trying to get people to pay attention since 2015. Nobody wants the system as it is, but nobody wants to do anything to change the system. We'd all rather just sit around on social media all day and bitch and moan. You better wake up. Because I will tell you right now, if the Republican Party is returned to power in 2022, because the left can't be bothered getting their ass off the fucking sofa and voting, and I don't care, I'm going to just state this right flat out. Right now, we are in a very scary position in this country. This looks so much like the way Germany looked before Hitler took over. We are in such a scary place right now. I really don't care, and I'm going to say it flat the fuck out. I'm voting for every fucking Democrat on the list. This party, the GOP, cannot be returned to power. Not only do we still have 147 legislators in there who voted to overturn a legitimate election, but there are now fully 57 people running in 2022 who took part in what happened on January 6th. We now have a Republican Party that is about to take away a woman's control over her own body. We have a Republican Party that has filed 256 bills across 41 states, I believe it is, that will literally oppress voting rights for people of color, women, gays, transgender people, all of the people that wouldn't vote Republican. Let me make this very plain. We have financial ties from the Koch brothers to the insurrection. We also have financial ties from the Koch brothers to the anti-lockdown movement in the United States. and the anti-vaccine movement in the United States. What did you think? The Koch money wasn't going to be used for this anymore because one of them died? The money lives on, folks. And the Koch family lives on. And the ideals and the ideology that drives that family lives on. We have corporations like Boeing, Lockheed, that are giving thousands of dollars to the very legislators who tried to overturn the election. We have Mo Brooks, who spoke on January 6th in a fucking bulletproof vest, even though he said he had no knowledge of what was going to happen. He's full of shit. We have Donald Trump, who totally mishandled the COVID pandemic in this country for political purposes. A man who literally spoke about putting people with COVID in Guantanamo so people wouldn't have to see sick people and hurt his re-election chances. We have a man who was president who wanted the military to shoot black people on the streets after George Floyd was killed. We have a president whose minions cheered Kyle Rittenhouse as a hero. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't a fucking hero. He was a 17-year-old punk looking for fucking trouble. He was a 17-year-old punk who had a gun purchased illegally and carried across state lines, who shot somebody in the back 7 times in self-defense. A man who maybe did have self-defense on his mind after he created the fucking problem to begin with. He isn't a hero. A kid, a punk, who says he's not interested in politics, said his first trip after he was let out of jail was to Mar-a-Lago, and his second was to a conservative conference where he was cheered like he was some kind of fucking war hero. We have a GOP that is gun happy 24/7, who will fill your head with the bullshit that the Democrats are coming for the guns. There is no political will to remove anybody's guns in this country. The absolute worst that could happen is that automatic weapons are taken away. Who needs automatic weapons? Where does it say in the Constitution that you're guaranteed automatic weapons? Just like, where does it say in the Constitution that you're guaranteed the right to spread your illness to everyone else? It doesn't. You want to go back to the Constitution? When that was written, the right to bear arms were muskets and maybe a little handgun. The Republican Party, as it stands right now, has been on this path for at least 40 years. At least. I started really paying attention to what was going on with this party in the 1980s. It started with the moral majority. Then we had the contract with America. Then we had the Tea Party. And the Tea Party has morphed into the shitbag MAGA movement. And if anyone on the left is still delusional enough to believe that the MAGA movement people are going to protect your rights once they destroy this nation, you maybe want to think again. You can't call yourself from the left if you're sitting back and allowing women to lose control of their bodies. You cannot possibly call yourself left-wing if you're ignoring the voter suppression going on. The GOP has been trying to suppress minority voters for decades. And right now they are being successful. And by the way, they're using ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is all right-wing, cookie-cutter legislation. So in Florida, we have MAGA Jr. trying to prevent the teaching of the real history of the United States, the slavery movement, by allowing parents to sue teachers if they're caught teaching their children about the what we call critical race theory is actually American fucking history. Okay? It's American fucking history. The lynching, the slavery, the fact that we brought them here from Africa and sold them at markets, none of that is made up. That is all fact. That is all American fucking history, whether you like it or not. And if you, in Florida now, if you catch a teacher teaching that to your child, you can sue them. They're using a cookie cutter based on Governor Abbott's abortion legislation, which allows people to turn in their neighbors if they find out that they've had an abortion beyond 6 weeks. The GOP is creating a citizen vigilante movement in this country. And the GOP would be just as happy to have 1 million Kyle Rittenhouses walking around the street, keeping the rest of us in line. Wake up. And you know what? Unless you're willing to stand up, you can also shut the fuck up. I'll talk to you later.